Oh, good afternoon, good afternoon. There you go. Just had a slight slip up there. That was only that I had a part of the screen open that wasn't meant to be for this, but that's okay. I'm just going to double check in the Facebook and whether this is actually going live. It should be, and I can see the little red dot around where it is. I shall mute that. Yeah, it looks like it is, so that's fine. It's interesting to see how much of a delay there is from where it's going out to what I'm doing as to what you can see the 20 seconds later or something. I'm not quite sure how big the delay is, but anyway. I'm Ros Boundy, and I'm here to bring you a little bit more on the start writing, keep writing aspect of a Boomer Press / Book Nook. And although I'm probably going to rename that one for these Monday and Thursday sessions, because the Sunday evening session is going to be definitely Boomer Press Book Nook, and I'll be planning something a little different for that one compared to what I'm doing now. Now, I did take people through the website a couple of times, but I will just put that here in the comments because I didn't do it before. So here it is. Expect it to come through to the relevant areas that's allowed to go to, which is looking like that's YouTube. Yes, 5 Foot Rope TV, mytimetv.live, and I won't go to Ros Boundy because that's a profile. I don't think the links go to that one automatically. No, it doesn't. And I've seen it pop up in the chat stream on the 5 Foot Rope TV. Is it a group or a page? Anyway, it's there, so you can actually click on that and have a look at the website yourself. But that's not all that we're here for. I'm helping people to find where they're at with their writing and see what type of help you might need to get moving ahead with, whether it's stories as in fiction stories that you're writing, or whether it is non-fiction stories you're writing, or whether it is memoir, that type. There's so many different genres of books out there. It's amazing. When you start looking, probably the best way to have a look at genres and that type of thing is looking through the books available on Amazon. Amazon.com or amazon.com.au or .ca, or wherever you are in the world, there's an Amazon somewhere. And it's interesting to look through the books and the categories that are there. Not that the categories cover all the genres, but that's where different style of books are pretty much in the, it's covered by the categories, but that doesn't mean that's the genre that is being written or read, for that matter, because we're here to read books as much as to write them as well. So I know that I use a tool called Publisher Rocket that's really good for analysing some of the data behind what sort of categories and books there are. But you can just do it even within Amazon itself. Probably a good idea to just do a screen share on that one. I might even just do that, see if that's going to come up with anything interesting, just as a have a look at what types of books are available and whether it fits your own genres. Now I'm just going to open the screen share a bit more. Here we are, and I think I have to go like, oopsie, hit the wrong button, sorry. Oopsie. I'll go to the screen sharing, and what I've done here is just poke in a bit of a, let me have a look. I'm sure I'd set the screen sharing screen. It didn't swap. So much from buttons. Ah, there it is. It's given me the screen. Yay. Hi there. As you can see, this time I did work out how to get myself in the little picture up the top. just so that it didn't feel like you were listening to a vacant screen. It's not, because I'm here up in the top corner. I'm assuming that you can see all of what I'm doing here. I might just widen that a little bit further. It's just so that when we look at books, you can get to some of the things that Amazon bring up like that. When you start into what are the Amazon realm of shopping, you've got a label here that is books, so that you can go direct to that. Or there is, change address, look, address is correct, I'll just leave it. I'm not in Adelaide, but I'm not signing in either. So this is where you go to for all of the books department. And as you can see, there's so many different categories down the side here. And what you probably would be looking for is, if you're into romance, you can type it in there up the top and you get the romance categories here. And there's all different sorts. So it goes, oh, well, wherever it is, there it is. So you could look at it that way on the romance category, definitely there. And then when you start looking into the different types of romance, you might see there's romantic action and adventure. Then there's romantic, oh gosh, some of those covers. Oh, that changed, it changed to a different style, probably because it's got different results there. You're actually gone down to a particular category there, obviously. You can tell I don't do much looking in these. Oh, there you go. You can drop down there as well. Amazon all departments, books there. Let's go back to books because I don't know where that. It's been a while since I've searched Amazon like this. So you've got all different ways that you can actually look at the different departments within Amazon itself, but it gives you an idea of what types of genres there are out there in fiction and non-fiction. So as you can see, there's certainly quite a list of broad categories, and then you might go into something that is the more defined categories, like you have here with the biographies. Why didn't it come up? Oh, there you go. So with this, biographies and memoirs comes up with art and literature biographies, community and culture, historical biographies, memoirs. I'm just going to go to memoirs because that's what I'm interested in. So I would like to have a bit of a look to see now what sort of memoirs are being written here. And A to Z of happiness, free-spirited woman, inspiring broken heart romance of an emotional journey of a woman overcoming challenges. So you just go until obviously you feel that there's one that's for you to read. That's actually a very recent book. It's this year at least, and it's on Kindle. I'm just going to have a quick look at that one. Free-spirited, spicy men, not my type anymore, but coming across this bad boy makes me change my mind. Almost feels like it's a romance as well as a memoir. So it's one of those things that you need to be aware of when listing through with doing Amazon. Now I'm going to come back to me because I don't think we need to share the screen now. Just have an idea of, go and look and search what type of books you're attracted to reading, as to what type of books you yourself might be interested in writing as well, because everyone's got a story that they can write. Absolutely truthful in that one. Now, the other thing that I was going to do is, well, it's the usual one that we do on the Mondays and Thursdays, and it's to do with the deck of cards, this life story cards. So keep in mind what you saw there as a quick way of looking at what Amazon has to offer as far as categories, what type of book you might want to write if you're really wanting to do something that's more fiction or non-fiction and not memoir. But this one is very helpful for our memoir. So I'm going to share it with you again because we're still progressing through what are the stages of these particular questions. So as we know, it's the life story kit, the interview kit. with its lid open. Oops, let me do that. And the cards that come out like this will be the first one we're going to do. And as we've remembered before, in the end we'll all become stories. So that's that one. That's the box. I feel like my screen's just a little bit smaller. Maybe I'll change the setting on that. I don't know. I was playing with buttons last night after I'd finished the late one, like the 7:30. I didn't finish at 8. I did shift it down a bit. I did do it shorter than I was expecting. I wasn't quite as organised with it as I was hoping. Yeah, this screen is a little bit shorter than I was expecting. Let me just... Is it going to adjust? No. So let's poke that up a little bit higher so I can fit the later life ones. Let's just do it this way. We'll do that one and then that one, because this is how many we've already done now. So we're getting through the full deck quite well. My fingers are fumbling. They are. My fingers are fumbling indeed. Now, I'm also going to pop up my Scrivener, because this is how I've been doing it recently. It's, I think it's this one, Memoir test. Anyway, what we have here, oh no, it's not that one. Oopsie, let me go find another one. It's not that one. Must be Practice the Pros. Let's have a look. Because you might be able to do this very similarly. And when was the 12th of the 12th? That was the last questions that we had. And that was, what do you think are the greatest changes? Yep. Okay. So here's where I am now. I'll do another quick screen share to show you how I've been using these particular cards, the questions that have come up and how I'm setting them out, and will eventually write in all of these questions. That's my goal, so let's hope that I can actually do that. Now, screen share is this one again. It may take a little bit of delay, so let's have a looky-see. And here we go. This one is the one that was from Thursday last week. So here's me trying to use my Apple Pencil. So here's the questions that we had. Who are your closest friends? As you can see, Scrivener, it's the 13th session. It's actually more than that. But there we have the date that I've done these questions for the session that we've done. So who were your closest friends as a teenager? What are your treasured memories? These are the ones from Thursday. And what do you think are the greatest changes to society in your lifetime? Now, I have actually filled in some for the earlier ones. It's probably only this one. So I have started to fill in these questions. And it doesn't take a great deal of time, really, once your thoughts are in the flow, to do these questions, put down things. Yes, it was only the first one that I put in. I still need to label them and do all of the organising, but I've started doing it here just a little differently, and I will be adding in these new questions for there. Okay, so back to what questions we're going to use today. So, in our early life from this one, what we've got is, what was your first car? Now, I actually think that this is particularly too early in early life. I would consider that early life is that is up until you leave school. And most kids don't have a car that is their first car whilst they're still in school. Though I suppose these days it's probably more likely that they may have. It just depends. I didn't actually have a first car myself. The first car I remember Mum and Dad having was some sort of a Holden thing that we used to sleep in the back while there was dances on. You know, we'd be spread across the back seat and stuff if Mum and Dad had decided that they wanted to go to dances. And when we conked out, that's where we'd go until it was time to go home. I'm pretty sure that was one of those old Holdens, that two bench seats, front and back. So you sort of did fit. We did, sort of, toe to toe, head to toe, whatever way you do it, where your feet are in the middle. So that's what I remember of the early life, very early. But then when I had my first car, it was jointly with my husband at the time. And I think the first car that we ever had was a little red Galant, because he did need to sell his Charger. Because he had a red and black red Charger with black stripes. I loved driving that, but we did need to upgrade because of growing family. And we had a little red Galant for those first few years. So that was our first car. It was good to drive. We spilt milk in the back boot at one point, so that we had to completely strip it, because in those days you were allowed to go to your local dairy and pick up raw milk straight from a dairy's vat, which is what we did. And it spilt and it stunk, and I don't know what happened to that car. I cannot remember. But it was like that, without a seat for a while in the back. Anyway, sometimes that sort of stuff happens, doesn't it? Then what we have is our midlife question. So how do you spend your time together? Do you share hobbies and interests? Now, it doesn't really say who we're sharing our time with. So I would say, if that's relevant for what our midlife was, I was sharing my time with children and doing the children thing through as they were going to school. And as they were growing into being who they are, I was certainly sharing hobbies in the way that I did learn how to play croquet. And I was one of the founding members of the Meningie Croquet Club. And that was a real lot of fun. And so there was sharing hobbies with friends with that. My husband was a work maniac. Workaholic, work maniac, whatever. He didn't really spend much time on doing any sports once we started our own business. So even his football interests started to wane. We continued to be sponsors of the football club, but it certainly wasn't where he was playing himself, because he realised the risk of injury was to earning capacity in a business that you're running yourself. So that's what happened there. He didn't develop any hobbies that I'm aware of, besides probably spotlighting and getting with his mates occasionally. For myself, how do you spend your time together? Well, this was where, if this is talking about your partner in life and that sort of stuff, there wasn't much of it. There was a holiday in October 1987. One family holiday that we did take up to Alice Springs. So that was a very interesting time, 2 weeks away. And it was a very interesting time. So anyway, how I spend my time together is pretty much online. I get along with a lot of people online with doing these types of live streams, and groups that gather for interesting subjects and that sort of stuff, like writing. So in the way that we do a lot of our learning now, it can be by webinar, by interactive question answer, that type of thing. And even in private groups, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of different ways to put that together as answers to your questions. How do you spend your time together with your partner? Yes, and what sort of hobbies do you have? I have been very handy with my hands at times. I did bob and lace making. I haven't taken it up since breaking my wrist and thumb. I don't know whether I can pick the bobbins up anymore. We'll have to see when I get around to it. It's things like that what's your interests? Write them down. And the last one that we've got here is later life and reflection. So name the most memorable global events you've lived through. And that would be a very interesting one for me to answer if I could remember them, mainly because I feel that for myself, I was so more involved in the immediate lifestyle of life living, family, and all of that to support them, that a lot of the global events, I don't think I took much notice of the news. You know, even as different governments came in, big news events like that. I can remember the global event that was the death of Lady Diana, um, or Princess Diana, sorry. I can remember, or was she back to Lady? I can't remember. But anyway, that accident, I remember that on the news, and that event. I felt so sick seeing the visuals of that. I can remember that feeling of devastating sadness. And the other one was when the two planes flew into the uh, Twin Towers over there for that the 9th of September. Or is it the 11th of September? 9/11. I can never remember which way the American dates work. I think it's 9/11, isn't it? So that makes it September 11th. So I remember I was watching TV as the news broke at that point in time. It flashed across the news, and I went in to wake my husband to say, this has happened. It's terrorism, whatever it is. There's a plane that's flown into one of those towers. Horrible, horrible. And then the second one, that's when I'm pretty sure everyone knew there was something not quite right with it. So although I haven't lived through it, you live through the vicarious nature of media and how media shares those incidents. What other things that were shown at the time as a result of that was horrendous. Like, it really did make me, I did feel pretty crook about it for a number of days because it was so horrendous. So they were memorable because I've been able to bring them to you from my memory now, as far as those events that I've lived through. That's global. The tsunami that was on the news that flattened, was it Bali, somewhere over there in the Southeast Asian countries? That's another one that comes to my memory. I haven't lived through any direct wars, but there's always some war going on somewhere, and they are memorable in that how horrid they are. And why can't we learn from history and stop this arguing about territories and countries and religions and all the rest of it? Why can't we get along as people in humanity, in our human state, getting along together, really engendering loving energies, not war and hatred and fear, because it's all it comes down to. There's only two real emotions, that is love and fear. That's my belief and understanding. So, around all these global events, let's share some love to really lighten and bring forward more of the positives in what are basic human nature. It is love. When we really look hard at what are we here for? It's for love. It's for happiness and joy. It's not for the other things. What are we striving for? So that's something to put in part of your memoirs if you'd like to. Add those moments where you can remember in the background the global events that were happening. How old were you at the time? What sort of events and things were happening in your personal life at the time as well? So see what you feel around that as you're moving through, finding the answers to these three questions. How do you feel as you're shifting through? Has it shifted anything for you to bring along any other memories related to each of these types of questions, like I've just shared with you of what's been part of my personal journey? The whole idea of doing memoir is there a purpose? What are you asking for yourself? What is your purpose in writing a memoir? because we do all have a story to tell. Even if we don't know it, we do have stories to tell. You just may not want to, and that's fine. But if you are wanting to, think of your children that later in their midlife to end of life, how much joy they'd get in that sense of growing understanding of who you are if you're going to put something that is more personal and identifying yourself to your children, saying, look, I did this, that, I felt this, that, I had this behind what I was doing and all the rest. It just depends what flow you're wanting through your story that you're wanting to share with others, because it could be specifically themed about a big event that you've gone through in your life. Like I mentioned way back at the start of these series, that I have had an experience with cancer, but it's not. I don't know yet whether that's something that I want to write about, but it might be helpful for someone else, because my whole attitude is probably quite different to how someone else would have managed a similar situation. So who knows? Who knows? But I'm going to write down about some of the bits and pieces that I did experience, so that if it turns out that that's going to be included in my book, then I will. I'll have it there without having to rely on my memory later when it gets to be part of the story. So just write down what you feel that you need to as it comes to your memory. You might need a few notebooks, or like I'm using, it is my computer, it is Scrivener as the main part of where I'm writing my notes and the rest. And I'll show you eventually how to upload, if you're interested in using Scrivener or something similar, how to take your photos and upload them into these various programs. There's some others that I'm having a look at the moment too, but whether I use those, because I am finding Scrivener to be a perfect tool, where just Google Docs and that type of thing can be a bit unwieldy, let's say. But it's doable and it's free. I did have to pay for Scrivener. Okay, so that's where we're at for today. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me in watching the replay, or with me even now. I do notice there's... Oops, I've got a funny noise out there, sorry. I do notice there is someone watching live. I'm not seeing any comments, so that is fine. If you are watching as a replay, certainly put the hashtag replay, and you can put comments in the stream afterwards just to ask questions if you like. And certainly get onto the boomerpress.online as far as the website goes. I do have a contact form in there as well. And I look forward to Thursday for more of these questions. So I'll see you then. Bye for now.